Say that you a baller. You lame, can't play this game. Step up to the plate, cause you say that you a baller. At the top, this is how I rock.
Welcome into the Nesson Digital Studio and welcome into the Rebound. Courtney Cox here with Darren Hartwell. Another week comes and goes in the NBA. No handshake today.
Nope.
Darren is feeling a little under the weather.
You know, we're just trying to stay healthy in here.
We are. I had a little bit of a cold. Producer Mark has a cold. I feel like everyone at Nesson is starting to come down with stuff, so we're going to keep it.
Could have like the latex gloves and do a handshake through
we're
that.
talking about the jellyfish.
The jellyfish?
Yeah, that's...
We just figured, you know what, maybe it's just best.
Yeah, we'll add on next week. But an exciting week in the NBA. We've got a lot to talk about. How's your week been so far?
Oh, it's been great. Yeah,
it's been good.
Yeah, and it's been continually exciting to watch the Celtics play. You're at the point where they're kind of appointment viewing on a nightly basis. So I think it's fun to watch, and best record in the NBA right now. Yeah,
well, I was at the game last night, and somebody asked Al Horford, did you think that you were going to be 22-4 December 6th of this season? And he was very candid about it, and he said, no, never thought that. He said, such a young team. You don't know how long it's going to take for guys to kind of gel together or learn the pro level of the game. So it has been exciting to watch them. They don't look like they're getting worse. It looks like they're getting better. And hoping we're battling injuries as always, but overall the Celtics team has been pretty great.
Yeah, and like you said last night, or Wednesday night, there were some injuries there too, and Celtics playing shorthanded again, find a way to win. So yeah, it's been pretty exciting to watch.
Yeah, Marcus Morris as well as Jaylen Brown out against Dallas on Wednesday night. Marcus Morris, he's been battling that knee injury, so it's been kind of a back and forth with how he's been feeling. Brad Stevens said usually he does feel better pretty quickly after a game. This time, not so much. Yep. Both are on the road. They have games against the Spurs, Pistons, and Bulls. Both Marcus Morris and Jaylen Brown on the road with the Celtics. Jaylen Brown, an inflamed right eye.
Yeah, nasty.
Yeah, Brad Stevens said, if you've ever worn contacts, it seems like it's something like that. He couldn't open his eye. Hard to play basketball if you can't see.
Yeah, speaking of things that are contagious, you don't want to mess with any sort of eye situation.
That's like a conjunctivitis thing.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
We don't want that. And then maybe, maybe there's a mask involved too. Kyrie doesn't like the mask. We don't need two guys with a mask on the court. So.
No, we do not. But when you look at the game from Wednesday night, 97-90, the final score of that matchup, Celtics get a win. It was kind of scary. They were trailing for as much as 10 when we came back from halftime. And Jason Tatum really stepped up. He was the one who really put this thing into motion. So they get the win, but it wasn't an easy one for them by any means. They all said, every team's giving us their best shot. The Mavs definitely did that. And the Mavs, their record is not good. So going into this game, I kind of thought it was going to be a boring one. We did not get that.
Yeah, and the Mavs actually played the Celtics close earlier this season. They took them to overtime. It's pretty fun to watch Dennis Smith Jr. Him and Kyrie got into it a little bit earlier in that game. He's a pretty fearless rookie, and it's nice to have a guy like Kyrie, though. You saw him, Tatum was a big catalyst, but Kyrie down the stretch, he kind of just put the ball in his hands and get out of the way. He makes plays. That was big down the stretch for them. Another two guys, Shane Larkin and Terry Rozier, both in double figures. You mentioned, Jaylen Brown and Marcus Morris are, big sources of points. So both of those guys having double digits, both of them hit some key three-pointers. So I think that was big. Abdel Nader and Gershon Yabusele, the dancing bear, both getting some run.
And what a celebration by Gershon. He was asked a lot. People were saying he had like a bow and arrow dab.
He did. I watched it. It's something else.
It was something else. You need to find that online if you can. Terry Rozier was asked about that, and he laughed. He could not stop laughing. He's like, "Oh, I loved it." They said, are you gonna implement that into your own celebrations? He's like, no, yeah. I'm gonna leave that to Gershon. But Baines and Smart, Aaron Baines and Marcus Smart, took the starting roles with the absence of Morris and Brown. Both guys did okay, just 2 points apiece, but they were there. Also, Daniel Tice. I think he is the biggest weapon on this Celtics team. I love him. I think I tweeted on Wednesday night. I said, if loving him is wrong, I don't want to be right. I've said it a million times. I love Daniel Tice.
And he's ditched the the shirt. Now he just has the little tank top.
Yeah.
He's showing off the guns now.
Thank
and the
God
tattoos.
he had to get rid of that
Yeah,
T-shirt. That was a bad look.
But hey, it's working. I don't know what their record is breaking down, or what his stats are breaking down shirt versus non-shirt. We'll have to get that for you next time.
Yeah, but overall, exciting. I mean, I feel like all these games, there's like a dunk highlight reel, and the Garden just goes nuts. But Kyrie had a great one last night at the very end. And he said he kind of had like a breakaway, and he was super pumped about it. He said, finally. So that was nice to see, because the MVP chants are definitely echoing nonstop.
Yeah, I mean, Kyrie by himself, you mentioned the Celtics being important to you, and Kyrie by himself is reason enough to watch the Celtics on any night. Mm-hmm. There's, bound to be one time where he just pretty much embarrasses a defender. He did that to Dennis Smith, kind of had a little hesitation move and blew right by him. So, yeah, he's exciting to watch. It's unfortunate that Gordon Hayward's out. We'll get into an update on him later. But this team right now, even if Jaylen Brown is out, even if other guys are out, if you have Kyrie on the floor, it's you're gonna want to watch.
Right. Well, Morris and Brown, like we said, making the road trip. Let's look ahead to that. Spurs are 17-8. They're great. We talked to Kaylee Griffin early on in this season about the Spurs and San Antonio, and this is a team that kind of scares you and I together. We did see them play at the Garden, and the Celtics handled them appropriately, got the win there. But the Spurs are a team to be reckoned with, and now that they've got Tony Parker back.
Oh yeah, they're always going to be a tough team. They're always going to be right in that mix in the Western Conference. It seems like the Rockets are surging now. The Warriors will be where they'll be, but the Spurs are just the consistent. They're going to get 50, maybe even 60 wins every year. Getting more healthy too. So yeah, they're going to that'll be a tough test for the Celtics, especially if Brown or Morris is can't go, or even if both of those guys are healthy, playing on the road in San Antonio. That's a tough test for the Celtics. And then the next game playing the Pistons, and they
want redemption there.
Yes, they do, and the Pistons have actually lost 4 straight going into Thursday, so they're scuffling a little bit, but they're a tough matchup for the Celtics. Just primarily because of Avery Bradley, and they like to put him on Kyrie Irving, and Bradley's one of the best one-on-one defenders in the NBA. We saw Kyrie kind of struggle with him in that other game, so that'll be a fun game to watch.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if the Celtics continue their winning streak against Western Conference teams. They're 8-0, so this is one that we all want to make sure kind of continues, just because, if it's down to the last 2 of the season, it will be a Western Conference team. Yep. So we like to see them performing well against them. But let's go back a game behind the Mavs when the Celtics took on the Bucks. Yep. Jason Tatum against the Bucks, unbelievable. Kyrie Irving talked about, how much of a fan he is. Here's what he had to say after the game.
Shoot 52, whatever it is.
It's just Jason played like the 3-4 at Duke, so he was picking and popping. I don't think Jason's really picked and popped, in terms of what coach was utilizing him as at Duke. Now that he comes in, he gets to play his natural role and then be in a position to where he can not only be a threat from the three-point line, but also a threat going to the rim. And you're seeing that the opportunities of us of having high-level players, not saying that in college you're not high-level, but it's just a difference from college and professionals. That the ability to swing the basketball between players in the offense that he's in now is predicated on movement, and he's getting open shots. That he's a decision-maker now. Now he's got to shoot it, pass it, drive it. And when you get an amount of reps up and you don't have to go to class every single day and you don't have to dedicate yourself to, it becomes a job. And now you can really get as many reps up as you want. And now I think he's just seeing that it's translating into the game. So I've seen Jason play since he was a sophomore in high school. I've been a fan of Jason since then. So I think that you worry about the transition from high school to college and college to the NBA, but I think that he's doing his due diligence in terms of getting to work in every single day, doing what he needs to do, being a professional, learning how to consistently be that, and now it's showing dividends, paying dividends.
Yeah, obviously some high praise there. I think the biggest thing there is, like Kyrie alluded to, has been his, just his confidence and maturity for a kid who's 19 years old, and he's just, he's doing what's expected of him. He's doing more than what's expected of him, but he's, he's filling in very nicely. I don't think he expected going into his rookie season to be, playing this much, it was kind of expected that Gordon Hayward would be that guy, and he'd be a backup maybe to Jaylen Brown and Gordon Hayward, but he's filled in pretty much seamlessly, and that's been great to see, and his teammates are trusting him as well.
Well, it's funny to hear Kyrie talk about, like, oh, the kids, or like, oh, I've been such a big fan of him. I mean, Kyrie's, I think, our age, 26, so he's not old by any means.
Well, he's been called a kid before.
Right, but still, LeBron, yeah. But I'm saying, like, he kind of talks, he's very wise, and you can tell he studies this game. He was asked last night, have you been scouting all of these younger players? He's like, I love scouting. So he kind of talks like a coach, and I think that's a cool thing about him. But Jason Tatum was asked again after the game against the Bucks if he missed Duke, or if he ever thinks about being a sophomore at Duke, and he said, yeah, I mean, I miss it. I don't miss class.
Yep.
So it was such
you can all relate to that.
A younger adult thing to say. Yeah, I miss my friends. I miss playing with from Mike Krzyzewski, who wouldn't, but Duke class is probably pretty hard, and Jason Tatum does not miss that.
No, I'm sure he's happy to get into that NBA life, even though he's probably gone through some rookie hazing stuff already, as they all do. I gotta mention my favorite Tatum stats so far. It's early in the season, and some people might have heard this already, but so Tatum's three-point percentage, he's the best in the NBA right now, 51.9% from three-point range. It's pretty remarkable. Lonzo Ball, the guy taken right in front of him, he's shooting 50% from the free throw line. So
that puts things into
he's a better
perspective.
three-point shooter than Lonzo is a free throw shooter. So there's that, and then he's now scored 15 points or more in 4 straight games. Tatum has after Wednesday night, and he's the first rookie to do that, Celtics rookie to do that since Paul Pierce. So that's pretty elite company. Obviously there are, maybe he doesn't do everything. Lonzo Ball is kind of a playmaker. He runs the show. He's in a different situation. Tatum's asked to score, and he does a very good job of that. And he also can give them pretty solid defense. But on the shooting and scoring, in the shooting and scoring departments, he's been everything the Celtics could have hoped for.
Absolutely, and the Celtics also very hopeful that Al Horford would have a big year this year, and that's exactly what he's been doing. Yes. Al Horford, I don't want to say he feels like the dad of the team, but he is older than a majority of the players. Maybe all of them.
I think he's the oldest player.
Yeah. So to hear him talk about all of them, he's wise. He sounds very wise. And to watch him play the way he plays, he's dominant out on that floor. And this year especially, after looking at him last year, he was good. This year, he's great. And he has his own little dunk highlight reel that he's been coming out with. But he talked after the game about what's really been working to make his rhythm happen, and I thought that was really interesting. So let's take a listen of that.
I think it's just, the work that I've been putting in, it's starting to pay off for me. Always coming in with the same focus, trying to play the right way, do the right things, and I feel like we're starting to find a rhythm as a group, and I'm finding my rhythm too. Just the stuff that taking care of my body, making sure that I'm recovering, watching film, just the same type of routine. But I just think that I've just been real focused on really doing the right things, and it's paying off for me.
Yeah, there you have it from Horford. I think, if you looked at last year, he did a lot of the same things, but his maybe his numbers weren't as as great. He did a lot of the little things, and I think now, because his stats are a little bit better, he's Celtics fans can kind of appreciate him a little bit more. He's kind of the glue that holds this team together. Yeah. He's good at setting screens. He's good at doing the dirty work. And now he's putting up stats too. You saw that stat line.
I think to a triple-double last
he's had a lot of close to triple doubles, even if he hasn't had triple doubles. He's a great passer. They've relied on him for rebounds just because he's they like to play small sometimes, and he goes and gets rebounds. And so he's been the steady constant throughout the year. I know he missed a couple games with that head injury, but considering all the flux that's gone around. He's in his second year now. He's feeling more comfortable. You see a lot with that, new players. Once they hit year 2, whether it's in the NBA, you know, just as after your rookie year or with a new team, you can start to develop that familiarity, and I think you definitely see that.
Absolutely. Well, Gordon Hayward, we did get an update on him. Brad Stevens was asked before Wednesday night's game if there was any update on Gordon, because there was an Instagram that Robin posted of Gordon not wearing his boot.
Gordon's wife.
Obviously, we all are on Instagram and Twitter, basically stalking all of these players. Here it is. So, you know, he's sitting down. You look at this, you're like, okay, yeah, I don't think you need to wear the boot all the time. And that's what Brad Stevens said. You know, the boot comes on, comes off, same way. So he doesn't have to wear it all the time.
Oh yeah, there you see it. There's the ankle.
Yep, there it is, the ankle. But then we got even more news today from Danny Ainge, who said, you know, he's progressing extremely well, and he should be shedding the boot soon.
Yes, 2 weeks. He said around 2 weeks he'll be completely free of the walking boot, which I'm sure he's very excited about. He doesn't have to. Maybe he can progress from just like shooting in chairs at the Celtics practice facility. That would be nice. You know, Ainge also had another interesting comment. You know, he's asked about, inevitably asked about, oh, okay, is Gordon going to come back? Does that mean he's going to come back at the end of the season? And Gordon kind of shut that down earlier this year.
That's why I don't know why we keep talking about it, because I felt like he was very clear that he's not coming back.
But so what Ainge basically said is that, you know, all athletes are competitive. He's going to want to come back as soon as possible. You know, I don't know what he's thinking, but I know that he's going to want to, you know, as soon as he's able to come back, he will. So I don't think that's necessarily saying anything new, but I do think that, you know, things could change. You know, you could have him progress very well from the injury. You know, Ainge mentioned, you know, look, we have to be careful. Sometimes athletes think they're healthier than they really are. You have to consult with doctors, all that. But, you know, it's kind of a wait and see approach. There's no real rush right now, given the way the Celtics are playing. But, yeah, you just kind of have to wait and see, I think. I wouldn't, you know, if I was a Celtics fan, I wouldn't hold my breath for him coming back at the end of the season. But
I also think, we're saying that he's progressing extremely well physically, but it also probably takes an emotional toll on you. You go through that much pain. You have to watch that video and those pictures all over social media, all over the news, over and over and over again.
It's true.
You must be scared that, you know, you're going to have a fall like that and it's going to happen again. So I actually wonder, you know, is he seeing... This might sound crazy to some people, but like a sports psychologist or someone who's, you know, helping with that part of it, because as a former athlete, that's tough to get back into the swing of things, knowing the pain that you suffered doing your respective sport.
Yeah, and he mentioned he talked to current NBA players who've gone through the same thing. He talked to Paul George, who suffered that, you know, pretty gruesome knee injury. So I think that's definitely, the psychological aspect is definitely a big part of it. And especially if you're going to come back in a really high leverage situation like the playoffs or end of the regular season when you're fighting for, say, the number one seed. Yeah, you want to be ready to go full speed ahead. So we'll see.
Well, while we are on the topic of injuries, and since the Celtics played Dallas last night, it has been reported that for the Mavs, Nerlens Noel will be out. He's undergoing thumb surgery. They said, you know, it was more so catching the ball, that it was, I mean, think about your thumb. You used to play basketball. You need it.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, we saw them play on Wednesday night. They did lose, but they looked great. Is this a huge blow for them? Obviously, he was not playing last night.
Yeah, I think, you know, he's an important part of their team, but I think just looking at where the Mavs are right now, it's kind of, there aren't too much stakes here. They're kind of looking like a lottery team right now. So maybe if you're a Celtics fan, you want Noel back, because that means the Mavs would be a little bit better, which means the Lakers would slip a little bit, and then get that draft pick next year. That's how Celtics fans think. It always comes back to Boston. But yeah, in terms of the Mavs, I don't see this really having a big impact.
Well, he should miss a few weeks, according to Rick Carlisle. If you talk about him in this season, you have to talk about the hot dog thing. He was seen getting a hot dog during halftime against a home game last week. I have to say, I think a lot of coaches would be pissed about this.
Yeah.
Rick Carlisle handled it extremely well. He actually said, in terms of all that other stuff, look, he's part of this team. He's been very professional, with the exception of the hot dog incident the other night, which we all had fun with.
The hot dog incident. Love it.
It's like hot dog gate.
Yeah.
But can you imagine, like, at a Patriots game, seeing, like, Tom Brady going to get a thing of popcorn during halftime. I mean, you just don't see that.
Yeah.
So it is
Tom
kind
Brady
of.
would never have popcorn.
No,
so,
he would. Well, yeah, he probably doesn't eat popcorn at all.
Go straight to the hips.
Right.
You know?
But I mean, it is weird.
Yeah, no, and hey, look, if you're hungry, if you're not playing, I've been there. I've been on the bench before in a sporting match, whatever you want to call it. You get hungry, you want to go grab a snack. Maybe he should have gone with a different option. NBA players like their peanut butter and jellies. Maybe you should have got one of those, or maybe like a banana.
Like an energy bar.
Yeah,
banana, nice potassium.
Yeah, exactly. You got to avoid the cramps. So maybe
he was craving a hot dog.
Maybe Rick Carlisle, he's just mad at the choice of food.
Probably.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Kevin Durant versus DeMarcus Cousins. New Orleans taking on Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
This was, I feel like, I don't know if it's just me, tensions are running high all across the NBA. Both guys getting ejected after a very heated exchange. If they weren't pulled back, I think there would have been fists thrown. It got pretty ugly. Boogie did not speak to media after this. Kevin Durant did.
Yep.
And I thought what he said was very much appropriate. He said, I thought he just threw us out pretty quick. To be honest, we got in each other's faces, but that's just how it is. You know what I'm saying? It's late in the game. Every time I get ejected, I make sure it's late in the game. Kind of a funny note there. I'm not messing up like that in the first or second quarter. Make sure it's late in the game if I want to do something. He went on to say, I got to be more focused. I got to be more poised, which is correct. I mean, you're a professional athlete. You're out there, and you guys are, there's always trash talk, but this seemed like hatred.
This Warriors version of Kevin Durant, very feisty. So this is his third ejection in the last 18 games, and then he had 2 in the first 810 games of his career, which is insane. Ejections are not common, especially for star players. And you see LeBron get ejected earlier this year. There are big name stars getting ejected. DeMarcus Cousins, he always seems to find himself in the middle of that.
Mm-hmm.
Looked like they were just kind of exchanging some words, and then obviously you don't know what was said, so maybe there were some bad words said.
Cousins tries to walk away at some point though, and
Durant
then
said
something that,
and Cousins turned around and did not like it,
which is confusing because he also says, I've been in the league too long, especially somebody like Cousins. We know that he's feisty. We know that he's emotional. We know that he plays that way, so I can't get involved in that. You did get involved in that. He was walking away, and you yelled something that made him come back.
Yeah, that's what you say after the game, but in the heat of the moment, it's tough to, keep your composure. That's what you need to do, but it's easier said than done.
Yeah, and Steve Kerr also said, absolutely too much. We're not composed out there. We're a championship team. We got to be poised, and we got to execute out there. We're getting way too emotional, myself included. I have to do a better job of that, too. We've got to show some poise when things aren't going our way and stop worrying about everything else and just worry about the game. So, Coach taking some heat for it as well, saying, I have to be less emotional and more poised.
There's also, when you talk about the ejections across the league, there have been 18 already through, we're not even through a quarter of the way of the season, or about a quarter of the way through the season. There were 37 total last year, so we're basically halfway through.
And we're early.
So maybe there was some meeting with the refs, I don't know, and it's all right, we're not going to take any crap from players this year, we're going to toss them.
But do you feel like, I don't remember games where it feels like every game there's some type of argument.
Well, I think also
even in games where there doesn't really need to be. You saw the
offseason was, fascinating.
Right.
A lot of moving parts, stars going to different teams. So maybe you have some new, there's kind of a shakeup. You have some new blood in different places. There's some new rivalries going on. So I could see that. I think it's good for the league. It makes things exciting. Maybe not good for the league, the players who are getting fined and ejected and all that, but for viewers, it's exciting.
Yeah, it is. And
you
people
want to see some drama.
It's like hockey. Everybody, when there's a fight, people love to see them drop their gloves. But Draymond Green should have taken Kevin Durant's advice for saving it all to the end because he got a technical foul for arguing in the first quarter. It was
just par for the course for Draymond.
Right.
Yeah.
It was. All right. Well, Steph Curry, as we continue on with Golden State, he has his own ankle injury. You look at it, he did get good news his MRI on Tuesday revealed that it's just a sprain. He said, yeah, I wanted to play here at home. That was at first the Hornets in Charlotte, where he grew up. But it's better it happened now rather than later in the season. It gives me the time to get healthy and the team to find continuity. This should be a good for us in the long run. Steve Kerr also kind of echoed that and said this will be good for us. But just a sprain, so it's not like he's going to be out for a long period of time.
Yeah, I think people were concerned just because he's had issues with that ankle before.
And
also,
it
looked really
gross.
bad.
Yeah.
It looked, his ankle bent almost all the way. It wasn't good. But and he had surgery on that ankle, I think, in 2010 or 11, and has had kind of repeated twists along the way. But I think ultimately, yes, if he's going to miss a few weeks, that's probably not the worst case scenario for the Warriors. You get to see what you have outside of Steph Curry, develop the other guys when you need them. Quinn Smith, you got Swaggy P, Nick Young, he's going to be in there.
I love Quinn Smith. I think he's great.
Big Quinn Smith fan.
Yeah, I am. I mean, ACC all the way. But even Kevin Durant was saying, they're childhood friends or something. And so he was excited to see him get his first start. And so that's cute to see, too, the relationships off the court.
Yeah, and they kind of have a fun bench, too. Like JaVale McGee in there, too. And
they get hyped on that bench.
Yeah. So maybe they can figure some stuff out over the next few weeks. It will be tough, though, to keep pace with the Rockets, who are still in first place right now. I think they're 2 or 3 games ahead right now. So
James Harden rolling.
James Harden is rolling. Fear the beard. That beard is working. He should not make any changes to that.
Right. That's like Aaron Baines for us. He's got the good beard going.
Yep.
I'm fearful. Aaron Baines.
I think he can take James Harden.
Really?
No.
I was like, okay. So, I mean, I feel like our entire show, it's like leading into each other, and we didn't really even make it up that way. But the Hornets, some sad news in Charlotte. Hornets head coach Steve Clifford, the team announced on Wednesday he was taking a leave of absence for immediate future to address his health. He missed Monday night's game win over Orlando. No idea really when he will be back. Associate head coach Stephen Silas will take over. They didn't announce what is wrong with him. The first game that he missed, they did say, it kind of seemed more like he was sick, and we now know it's more serious than that. But I mean, they're third in the Southeast Division, 3 games behind Washington. It's a tough loss for any team.
Tough situation, yeah, and we've seen coaches deal with health problems in the past. Obviously, the big one, Steve Kerr I think it was last year when he had that back injury. The Warriors didn't miss a beat. They played really well. The Hornets are not the Warriors. They don't have that talent. But sometimes, when something like that happens, it can be a rallying cry for the team. You have a new voice in there. The assistant coach is the head guy now. Who knows? But Charlotte's kind of a team that's on the bubble right now, not playing too well. But maybe this will give them a little spark.
Yeah, as someone who used to live in Charlotte, Hornets games, very fun. It's a good environment, regardless of how the team is playing. Fans in Charlotte love their Hornets. So our thoughts are with Coach Clifford.
Yep.
Obviously a tough situation for the Hornets, and hoping that we get good news for him. Moving on to the Cavs, Derrick Rose apologizes to the Cavs. He apologized to them before their shoot-around, and he has missed a decent amount. I think he's only been in 10 games.
18. So he's missed 18 games, and he's played in 7 through the first 25 games. Yeah.
So he said, it's been a sprained ankle that he's been battling back and forth. Everyone basically has said, he doesn't need to apologize to us. There's no reason to. LeBron said this is like a kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a gesture of good faith or whatever you want to call it. I do think it's interesting that the Cavs, so they lost their first game without him to the Rockets, and then they've won 13 in a row.
Right.
So they're 13-1 without him, and they're doing just fine. So obviously it's nice to have depth, but the Cavs are pretty much cruising without Derrick Rose.
And we don't have any idea when he will fully be back either, correct?
Yes, yeah, it's still up in the air.
Yeah, so 18-7 right now. They're second in the Eastern Conference behind the Celtics, of course. Scary team. We thought that they were out for the count. We were kind of not as two Boston Celtics fans.
Well, we thought they were down.
We were kind of excited.
I don't know if we thought they were like completely
No,
done.
we didn't think they were out. I mean, you have LeBron James.
But yeah, they looked like there were some weaknesses there. But LeBron has been playing at another level, and as we keep alluding to, kind of off in the distance, that distance is getting closer. Isaiah Thomas is going to come back.
Right.
So
it looks like hopefully before their return to Boston.
Yeah, I mean that was the latest reports we have are that he might try to return sometime in December. Mm-hmm. So I think he could be back for that early January game against the Celtics. I thought this was pretty funny. The LeBron, I think this was on Wednesday. He said he's a big NBA 2K fan. Plays some video games. Mm-hmm. He said he's using that to test lineups for when Isaiah Thomas comes back. So he's just like fiddling around, putting Isaiah in, and playing as the Cavs. And he had a quote. He said, "It's the most realistic basketball game you could ever play. I mix and match a lot of lineup changes to see how we can be really good." So. Shout out to NBA 2K for helping them out.
They must love that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're getting great publicity this year, especially with, it seems like it's almost like a video game league where, like, just, this player goes here, like, this star player goes here, and you kind of, it's like you're playing franchise mode in a video game, and you just have stars joining up with each other. So, yeah, it's exciting.
All right, well, let's go to something new that we are going to start doing every week. The winners and losers in the NBA for the week. It could be a player, it could be a team, it could be anything. It could be a coach, it could be a meme, it could be Arthur.
Yep. Could be
really whatever you want.
Concept.
Yeah, so let's start with your winner of the week. This is kind of lame, honestly.
Yeah, it's a little lame, but listen, he's the best player in the NBA right now. I gotta go with LeBron. He's been playing at another level right now, and I think we kind of take him for granted sometimes, just because he's. I think we mentioned this recently. He's like the Bill Belichick of the NBA. He's just always there. Probably should win Coach of the Year every year, but. You don't really appreciate him because you want to give it to other guys. He's averaging 28 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 9.8 assists over his last 4 games. And I think he's really kind of elevated his game. He dropped 23 points in Chicago, the same number as Michael Jordan. He was kind of imitating Michael Jordan in his own building. That was kind of a cool thing. But he's really doing it all for them. Because they're a little undermanned. He's essentially playing point guard without Isaiah Thomas or Derrick Rose in there, and he's just taking them to another level. So I think he's got to be over this past week, just that stretch he's been playing really well.
All right, well, my winner of the week, this is kind of a funny one, Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah.
He's playing great. He signed a flag. I don't know if you saw it before the next game. Some fans brought a flag of a unicorn. A lot of people are calling him a unicorn. And he saw it, and he ran back and signed it. Something that I just thought was really nice, and I think a lot of star players on a team would probably just fly by. So overall, I mean, we said mayor. He's going to be the mayor of New York. Lots of people want to write him in. So I really think that he's not just performing well on the court, but he's performing well off the court. I'm always somebody who likes to know personality, who likes to know that the guy's doing good things off. He's a good role model, and that, I think, he's shown in the past week.
Yeah, he's a unicorn, He's living
up to the name. Who doesn't love a unicorn?
Yeah.
All right, well, with the good always comes the bad. Who's your loser?
Multiple losers list this week,
and
their last names are all Ball. With the Ball family. I hate to talk about them again, but
do we though?
So yeah, no, we don't. You're right. So we'll start with Lonzo. Lakers have lost 5 straight. Lonzo not playing pretty well. He had a double-double against the Warriors, but since then, 11 points in his last 2 games, shooting pretty poorly, and then you have LeVar, who's running his mouth still, the father, and basically said the other day that Lonzo is disgusted by the Lakers' struggles and kind of threw his son under the bus a little bit. Said Lonzo should be the star of the show. Luke Walton's doesn't have his act together. And then you go down the line. LeVar pulled LiAngelo Ball, the middle child, out of UCLA, and I think he wants to play both him and LaMelo overseas and not have them in college. I think that's a pretty bad idea, and you had some scouts coming out and saying, I don't think LiAngelo has any shot at the NBA right now. I don't think he's on anyone's draft boards or anything. So yeah, the stock in the Ball family is pretty low right now.
All right, well, my loser of the week is not a player, not a coach, not a team. It's someone in the media, and I'm not going to go too far into it, but there was an article that came out that said Isaiah who, and talked about how Kyrie Irving's doing great things for the Celtics. Isaiah Thomas got wind of it, was not happy, and I don't blame him. I think, we look at Isaiah Thomas, everything that he went through while he was with the Celtics, how great of a guy he was to everyone, every fan, every teammate, every coach, every media personnel. He just, across the board, was great, and everybody in Boston loves him so much. So, yes, Kyrie Irving, unbelievable for this Boston Celtics team, but I don't think we need to compare apples and oranges. I don't think we need to say, Kyrie's way better than Isaiah Thomas ever could be, so this was a great trade. Everybody still misses Isaiah Thomas, and Isaiah Thomas even said, I don't disagree. Kyrie's great for you guys, but don't start with me with this Isaiah who stuff.
To kind of, I guess, push back against that a little bit, I think the article got into that a little bit, like the positives of both players.
But the headline is what you click on.
You have the headline, and we all like the clickbait headlines. That was one right there that obviously Isaiah did not take kindly to.
No, he did not. But that's my loser for the week. All right, let's go into some social media. You got the first one.
Oh yeah, we have Joel Embiid here. He's at the SI Awards the other night, Tuesday night, and he's standing next to Jose Altuve of the Houston Astros and J.J. Watt of the Houston Texans.
It looks fake.
And he said, "I thought I was going to be around a bunch of Sports Illustrated models. This isn't a bad group to be with." Pretty awesome. There's a picture that's kind of cropped of just him and Altuve, and it's just like Altuve goes up to his midsection.
Right, and I also think there's a new movie coming out that's called Downsizing, I think is the name of it, where you can shrink the person. Yeah. It looks like it's an ad almost for that. I mean, it's crazy, and all three unbelievable athletes. So
yeah,
beauty is in all shapes and sizes.
Yes,
right.
That's a good point. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. All right. Well, Wednesday night's game, Celtics Mavs. We had a superstar there. They played Footloose, and I happened to be recording the jumbotron because, of course, I was Kevin Bacon. Yep, there it is. So that was cool, kind of unexpected. Everybody went nuts, obviously, but it was just one of those crazy things where you never know who is sitting courtside of any game.
Hey, and Celtics are drawing some celebrities,
They are.
We
had DMX there one night.
Yeah, and I'm sure you can do like a 6 degrees of separation with Kevin Bacon, and you could probably get to DMX. I wonder how many you need. That's a story for a different day.
Yeah, that would be interesting. One thing that I did not like about the Celtics last night was that Mark Cuban was there sitting right behind Dallas's bench, and they didn't show him on the Jumbotron once. I don't know, though, if he would have gotten a warm... He
probably asked, he's probably like, keep me off the Jumbotron.
Really?
I don't know. Who knows?
But I feel like even though, obviously, it's enemy territory, I feel like a lot of people are Mark Cuban fans, even though they're Celtics fans. I think
he's a pretty polarizing guy. Well, I don't know.
You watch Shark Tank, and you're a Mark Cuban fan, and I think a lot of people watch Shark Tank.
Yeah, perhaps.
I don't know. I thought that was weird. I thought that he would have gotten a lot of cheers, but hey, neither here nor there, and I don't run the Jumbotron, so. Moving on.
Put in a good word next time.
Yeah, you have the next social media.
Yeah, we have LeBron and D Wade. They, so you have them on the left, and then you have their 2 sons on the right.
Spitting images.
Yep, and so LeBron apparently thinks that their 2 sons are going to take over the Cavs one day, or at least be in the NBA and just take over the mantle from there. So yeah, watch out for the next generation of the Jameses and the Wades. They both are pretty good basketball players. So
shocking.
Yeah, no surprise there, and they're growing up pretty fast. Those kids, they grow up so fast. Yeah. Kind
of crazy. Imagine their conversation with each other. Oh, my dad's so annoying right now. Sorry, I can't play any video games anymore.
Yeah.
Dad, LeBron James told me I needed to go to bed.
Yeah, I'm sure they're...
it's a charmed life.
Yeah, I'm sure they're doing all right. Yeah. And so that's, that's that social media thing. And we also have another one involving Danny Ainge. So Danny Ainge took a little time off and visited his old friend Bill Walton on the right there, and then Tom Chambers, former Suns player, on the left, watching some college hoops. Bill Walton is a national treasure.
Right.
He's the man. Great commentator. Loves loves giving some pretty diverse opinions on some diverse topics. And they're obviously friends from their Celtics days. 2 Celtics legends right there. So good to see Danny getting out, doing some scouting probably. I'm sure he was taking notes, but also catching up with some old friends. And
you also got one more. You were on your social media game this week.
I'm all over the social media. I love it.
But last week we had Gronk breaking into our NBA podcast. This week we've got another football player.
Yeah, I got to do a little crossover every once in a while. You got Odell Beckham Jr. this week, and that right there is a tattoo of Allen Iverson's step over Tyronn Lue, the famous step over in the NBA Finals 2000. That's very detailed, and
very detailed.
Not sure exactly. Odell must be a huge Allen Iverson fan, so you know what? Hey, good for him. He's got some ink. I'm sure he's got some other tattoos. So that's props to him for getting that detailed of a tattoo. If you want a good tattoo, go see that tattoo artist.
Yeah, I guess that tattoo artist is getting a lot of phone calls now.
Oh yeah,
with people going in.
Yep.
All right, well that will do it for this week of The Rebound. Thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you next week. Another big week ahead of us.
Oh yeah.
Celtics are on the road. Don't come back for 3 games. So pretty crazy around here.
And then they're going to London after that.
Which, if any of our bosses are watching, I sent a very nice email today saying that Darren and I are very much available to go do The Rebound on site in London. I've never been to London. Have you ever been to London?
I've not. We're efforting it. We'll work on it.
I think that it makes sense.
We'll work on it.
So we'll see. We'll let you know next time. But thanks for tuning in. For Darren Hartwell, I'm Courtney Cox. We will see you next time.
Walking on eggshells, barefoot, trying to reach my reservoir. Stole my style, need to pay me back. Crazy brainiac, made me turn into an animaniac. Say that you a baller.